Hey everyone, welcome back to Directed Tech. I'm Rick, and if you've been around this channel for a while, you know what we do here. Lasers, 3D printers, CNC machines, electronic repair, hands-on tech for people who like to build things. But today, we're doing something a little different. I want to pull back the curtain and talk about something that affects every single review you watch on YouTube. Not just mine, but every reviewer's channel you follow. The question is simple. Can you trust YouTube reviews? Now, I want to be upfront. This isn't me throwing anyone under the bus. This is an honest conversation about the forces that shape what reviewers say, how bias works, sometimes without the reviewer even realizing it, and what you, as a viewer, should be looking for to make smarter buying decisions. And I'll tell you this, I've been asked to review some things on this channel that had absolutely nothing to do with lasers or 3D printers. We're talking dog shock collars, breath spray, and even toupees. I'm not making that up. So yeah, we've got some things to talk about. Let's get into it. Let's start with the most common setup in the YouTube review world, the free product. Here's how it works. A company reaches out, usually by email, and says something like, "Hey, Rick, we love your channel. We'd like to send you our new laser engraver for you to review." No money changes hand. They send the product, you make the video. On the surface, that sounds pretty clean, right? No payment, no strings attached. But here's where it gets interesting. There's something called the reciprocity effect. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. When someone gives us something, we feel a subtle internal pressure to give something back. And in the review world, giving something back often shows up as softening your criticism, glossing over a flaw, or leading with a positive even when there are negatives that are significant. Most reviewers who do this aren't being deliberately dishonest. They're not sitting there thinking, "I'll lie for a free 3D printer." It's more subtle than that. You might find yourself saying, "The build quality is a little rough in places," instead of, "This thing feels cheap," and you rationalize it as just being professional. But you have to ask yourself, would you say it that way if you'd paid $600 of your own money for it? There's also what I'd like to call selection bias. Companies aren't sending reviewers their worst products. They're sending the stuff that they're most confident in. So even if a reviewer is completely objective, the sample they're working with is already pre-filtered by the company. Now here's my personal standard on this. I've received free products for review on this channel, and I want you to know it has never changed what I say. I've told viewers flat out, do not buy this product in reviews of items I have received for free. Because here's the thing, my credibility with you is worth infinitely more than any free piece of hardware. If I can't be honest, there's no reason for you to watch, and I'll always disclose it. If a product was provided at no cost, I will tell you. You deserve to know that when you're deciding how much weight to give my opinion. Let's talk about the next level up, the paid video. This is where a company doesn't just send you the product, they pay you to make the video. Sometimes it's called a sponsored video, sometimes it's a promotional video, but the bottom line is the same. You are on their payroll for that piece of content. Now, I'm a small content creator, so these videos are very rare for me. But over the past several years, I've only done 2 or 3 sponsored videos for a single product. Now, I do have one regular sponsor, which is amazing to help keep the lights on in the studio here. They are a service provider, and I'd like to shout them out here. This video is sponsored by PCBWay. PCBWay is your one-stop shop for turning ideas into real hardware. Whether you need precision PCB fabrication with as fast as 24-hour turnaround, high-quality 3D printing in FDM, SLA, SLS, and more, or CNC machining for custom enclosures and mechanical parts, PCBWay has you covered from prototype all the way to production. Their instant online quoting makes it dead simple to get started. Head on over to PCBWay.com to get your first order going. The link is in the description. All right, where were we? Oh yes, the sponsored video. I want to be fair here. A paid video isn't automatically dishonest. There are creators who do sponsored content with full integrity. They disclose it clearly, they only partner with brands whose product they genuinely believe in, and they maintain editorial independence. That can work. But here's the structural problem. When someone is paying you to make a video, The primary goal of that video is no longer to inform the viewer, it's to serve the brand. Even with the best intentions, that shift in purpose changes things. The balance between here's what I love about this and here's what I want to warn you about starts to tilt. And there's a big difference between a sponsored segment, like that 60-second ad read in the middle of an otherwise independent video, and a fully sponsored production where the entire content is built around promoting the product. Those are very different things, and I think viewers sometimes blur the line. The FTC in the United States requires disclosure when there's a material connection between a reviewer and a brand. That includes payment, free products, or any other compensation. So if you're watching a video and there's no disclosure anywhere, either the content creator doesn't know the rules or they're choosing to ignore them. Neither one should give you confidence. YouTube also requires disclosure, and that is why there is a little notification in the upper left-hand corner of the screen when the video began that says, includes paid promotion. My personal stance, I'm very selective. If I partner with anyone, you'll know. The word sponsored or paid partnership is either going to show up in the video or it'll be right up front, not buried in the description box that nobody reads. And I won't say anything that I genuinely don't believe. Okay, so if free products introduce reciprocity bias and paid videos introduce commercial bias, surely the answer is just buy everything yourself, right? Problem solved. Well, not entirely. Don't get me wrong. The self-purchase review is, in my opinion, the most trustworthy format for you as a viewer. When a reviewer spends their own money, their financial interests are aligned with yours. They want value. They want the thing to work. They are not beholden to anyone, and that matters a lot. But there's a sneaky form of bias that can still creep in, and it's called confirmation bias, or more specifically in this context, the sunk cost effect. When you've just spent $300, $400, $500 of your own money on something, there's a psychological pull to believe it was a good decision. Admitting to your audience that you wasted your money is uncomfortable. So some reviewers, again, often without fully realizing it, start leading with the positives, framing the negatives as minor, and subtly steering their conclusion toward, yeah, this is worth it. The antidote to that is the same as any other form of bias: self-awareness and a commitment to structure. That's actually one of the reasons I do a pros and cons formats in my reviews. It forces me to sit down and think, what are the actual weaknesses here? What would I warn someone about before they buy? And I present both sides to you, the viewer, so that you can decide what matters most to you. Maybe the thing that I found annoying doesn't bother you at all. Or maybe it's a deal breaker. That's your call to make, not mine. Oh, and by the way, I couldn't honestly afford to review all of the things that I've been able to review on this channel. But fortunately, and most likely because I do a lot of research before making big purchases, I haven't purchased any products that I've done reviews for that I wouldn't recommend. It would sting a little bit to say, I bought this and I don't recommend it. But that's the job. And honestly, those videos build more trust than any positive review ever could. But I do pledge to you that if I do purchase something that I feel is a waste of money, you'll be the first ones to know about it. All right, now here's a question that I get asked occasionally, and it's one that I've thought a lot about. Is it ethical to let a company see your review before it goes live? In my experience, about 30 to 40% of companies that provide me with a product ask to see the video before publication, so it's not rare. And I want to walk you through how I think about it. First, let me tell you what has never happened to me. Not once in all the times a company has seen a video before it went live has anyone asked me to change my opinion. Not once. Nobody has called or emailed and said, hey, can you take out that negative section? Or can you frame that con a little differently? That hasn't happened. And I think that says something good about the companies that have been willing to work with me. So why do they ask to see it at all? Well, there could be a few reasons. Sometimes it's for quality control on their end. They want to make sure that any specs I quoted are accurate, that I didn't accidentally misname a feature, stuff like that. Sometimes it's just a standard practice in their PR workflow. And honestly, from a factual accuracy standpoint, I don't mind that. If I got a spec wrong, I'd want to know before 100,000 people heard me say it. But here's where I draw a hard line. There's a difference between a company correcting a factual error, the optical output is 40 watts, not 35, and a company trying to influence the tone or the conclusion. One of those is helpful. The other crosses a line. The moment a company tries to tell me what to say or how to say it, that relationship ends. And I think you need to think about that as a viewer too. When you watch a review, you're trusting that what the creator is saying reflects their genuine experience. If there's an invisible hand shaping that content, even a little bit, that trust is being violated, whether the viewer knows it or not. That's not something I'm willing to be part of. So my answer to the question is, letting a company review for factual accuracy, I'm comfortable with that, with the right boundaries. Letting a company review for the purpose of editorial influence, that's a no. And the distinction between those two things matters. Okay, let's lighten things up a little, because I promised you I'd talk about some of the wild review requests that I've received. And when I say wild, I mean I genuinely don't know what some of these companies were thinking. Let me set the scene. This channel is about lasers, 3D printers, CNC machines, electronic repair, directed technologies, the kind of stuff you build a shop around, spend a weekend dialing in, and then stay up way too late learning because it's just that interesting. That is what directed tech is all about. So imagine my reaction when I get an email asking me to review dog shock collars. Now, I've thought hard about the connection here. Is there a laser somewhere? Could I engrave the shock collar? Maybe, but I'm pretty sure that's not what they had in mind. And then there was the breath spray. No, not a spray coating for your build plate. Breath spray for your mouth. A hygiene product. On a channel about CNC mills. And my personal favorite, a toupee. Not this one. This is a wig. It's for my Scanikin. Someone emailed me about men's hair systems. Now, look, I will admit it. I may look much better with a full head of hair. So maybe that one was barely just within the universe of relevance. And maybe they even watched a few of my videos to know that I was follically challenged. But could you imagine a video popping up on your feed from Directed Tech pitching a toupee? That's going to be a no from me, dog. Now here's the point that I want to make, because there's actually something important underneath the comedy. A lot of companies, especially smaller brands using PR agencies, they send out mass outreach emails to any channel that clears a certain subscriber threshold. They're not watching your content. They're not thinking about whether the product fits your audience. They're just blasting out emails and hoping someone bites. And some creators do bite, because a free product is a free product. But when that happens, you get reviews that are completely disconnected from the audience they're supposedly serving. A tech channel reviewing breath spray isn't giving you useful information. They have no frame of reference. Their audience has no interest. And the only person who benefits is the brand, who gets a video with some subscriber count attached to it. That's not reviewing. That's just advertising with a camera. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second and elaborate on that. In the past, if you've been hanging around the channel for a while, you've probably seen a lot of reviews that I've done. And some of those, honestly, the views are just too low to be worth it. And that's why in January I made that it's time for a change video. I don't have to chase views. I'm not in this for the money. I'm not trying to go full time. I do this because I like doing it. But when I found myself doing a little bit too much for the companies and doing those reviews where I wasn't getting any benefit, then it was time to stop doing so many of those and to focus on the things that I like. So now, when those things happen, I say no to those requests. Almost every time. Now, that nightstand was a bit of a stretch. And it's not because I'm above reviewing men's hair systems on principle, but because my job is to serve you. And sending you off to buy a breath spray based on a recommendation would be a pretty spectacular failure of that job. So, can you trust YouTube reviews? The honest answer is, it depends. It depends on the reviewer. It depends on how the content was acquired. It depends on whether the person has something to lose by being honest or whether they've built their reputation on honesty to begin with. But here's what I want to leave you with. As a viewer, you are not powerless. You have tools. First, Check the disclosure. Was the product free? Was the video paid? It should be stated clearly up front. If you can't find that information, treat the review with caution. Second, look for criticism. A reviewer who never finds a flaw, never tells you to wait for a sale, never says, this might not be right for everyone, that's not a reviewer, that's a commercial. Real reviews have balance. Third, watch multiple voices. Don't make a significant buying decision on one video, mine included. Look for consensus across reviewers who have no obvious connection to each other. If 5 different people with nothing in common all reach the same conclusion, that is meaningful. Fourth, consider who the reviewer is. Are they actually in the space they're reviewing? Do they use this kind of product? Do they have the context to know what good looks like? Because a reviewer who doesn't know the category can't really tell you whether a product is good. They can only tell you whether it worked. And as for me, here is my commitment to you. If a product was provided for free, I will tell you. If I was paid, I'll tell you. My pros and cons format isn't just a presentation choice. It's a promise that I'm going to show you both sides and let you decide. And if I think you shouldn't buy something, I'm going to tell you that too, because that's the deal. You give me your time. I give you my honest take. That's it. All right. If you found this useful, hit that like button. It genuinely helps the channel. If you're new here and you want to see some of those actual tech reviews we've been talking about, lasers, 3D printers, CNC, all of it, subscribe and come hang out. I'm Rick. This is Directed Tech. Until next time, take care, everyone.